Well, hey guys, and welcome back to Real Scent Review. I have just a magnificent offering from Dior tonight. No, it's not Fahrenheit. It's not Sauvage. At least it's not the Sauvage that everybody these days would know about. It's Eau Sauvage Parfum. This is from 2017, but it is a remake of a classic 1966 fragrance by Dior, Eau Sauvage Eau de Toilette. This is absolutely stunning. The introduction is done. I'm gonna get right into this. Stick around for this one. Hey everybody, welcome back to Real Scent Review. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sticking around throughout my little hiatus there. I was on a little bit of a vacation, but now I'm back and let's just get started with this one, shall we? Eau Sauvage Parfum by Dior. I know when people hear the two words Sauvage and Dior, most people nowadays will think of this. Okay, but I have to tell you, this one is just so much better in my opinion, and I'm gonna explain why in this video. So, in 1966, Dior released Eau Sauvage. It was a chypre fragrances, meaning it was focused around the notes of bergamot, oak moss, usually labdanum and patchouli. Really classic fragrance, really old school. It's a great one. If you can get your hands on that one, definitely sample that one. These days it might be pretty expensive, especially for an original bottle. But hey, I'll leave that up to your discretion. Now in 2012, Dior released Eau Sauvage Parfum, which was made to be sort of like a modern re-release of the 1966 classic. It was darker, it had notes of myrrh, it was just a much darker composition compared to the lighter, more citrusy, mossy 1966 classic. And in 2017, they released Eau Sauvage Parfum 2017 version. Now this one here harkens back. It's a little bit more similar to the original 1966 Eau Sauvage than the 2012 Eau Sauvage Parfum, but still, this definitely has a modern twist on it. It's not quite as dark, and it's a little bit sweeter than the 2012 release. I don't own a bottle of the 1966 version. I don't own a bottle of the 2012 remake. I have smelled them. I know what they smell like. The video is gonna be focused on this one today, and I'm gonna tell you guys why you just don't even need to bother with the other two. This one is absolutely phenomenal. So let's get started with the presentation here. The box, very classy looking box. It's made of cardboard, but it has a raised sort of texture to it. It's almost like a honeycomb texture. The bottle here, it's definitely made to look like the original 1966 version. So it has the diagonal ribbed glass covering the whole bottle here and the black band around the center. Very nice. And you know what? The best part, it's a magnetic cap. Just an incredible atomizer. Okay, the official note breakdown is the following. In the top, we're given citron, bergamot, lavender. In the mid, we're given some Haitian vetiver, and in the dry down, we're given elemi resin. What I detect is a little bit different, not completely different, but there are some nuances I'd like to make you guys aware of that the official note breakdown just doesn't cover. In the top, I get some heavy citron and some neroli. In the mid, I get some vetiver, more neroli. And in the dry down, I get some elemi, vanilla, and some smoky incense. Stunning combination of notes here. And there definitely is a modern twist to it that the original doesn't have, and I'm gonna be going over that as well. So citron gets compared a lot to the smell of lemon, and it is very similar. The difference, the main difference being citron is a much drier, much more bitter smell compared to lemon. Lemon is sour, yes, but you know, lemon tends to have some sort of juicy accord going on with it, as well as like maybe a touch of sweetness. Citron does not have any of that. Very dry, very bitter. And that's paired with some neroli in the top. Although it's definitely the citron that's most apparent in the top here. I definitely get some vetiver. Now, the vetiver in this isn't quite the same as it is in Guerlain's vetiver, for example. This is more grassy, and it leans a little bit more earthy, whereas in Guerlain vetiver, for example, that's much more sharp and astringent vetiver. This one tones the vetiver down a little bit. It's a little bit more earthy, a little bit more grassy. It's definitely more agreeable, let's say, than the vetiver in Guerlain vetiver, for example. And I'm getting even more neroli in the mid here. At this point, the neroli is becoming quite soapy. Definitely gives it an old school vibe. Now in the dry down, we're definitely getting some elemi resin. So elemi being very resinous, balsamic with a little bit of a piney accord, maybe ever so slightly citrusy and definitely woody. kind of like a dry incense, a resinous, balsamic, dry incense. That's what the LME in this is reminding me of. And there's definitely a very apparent vanillic sweetness in here. Very nice vanilla, but it's not overly sweet. This is not a gourmand. There's nothing gourmand about this fragrance. But the way the vanilla is done in the dry down here is just fantastic. Adds a modern twist, a modern sweetness. And after this vanilla, I'm starting to get a little bit of smoky incense, very light smoky incense. That might be reminiscent of sort of like papyrus or pencil shavings. You know, something that's quite popular in a lot of mainstream men's fragrances nowadays. So while this one does start old school, it dries down into something that's more modern. It has a modern twist to it. It's not as dark as the 2012 version, although it is quite similar to the 2012 version. If you already have the 2012 version, you probably don't need to go out and get this one. And if you already have this one, then definitely by no means do you need to go searching for the 2012 version, because it's been discontinued and it's very expensive now. I digress, getting back to the fragrance at hand here. Every once in a while you come across a fragrance that just does it for you. This is absolutely one of those for me. It is incredible in every way. It's absolutely one of my favorite fragrances. It's just a stunner. If you haven't sampled this yet, you need to do it. So like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, Sauvage, Dior, everybody's gonna think of the modern 2015 Dior Sauvage line. The two have absolutely nothing in common. There's nothing similar between the two. They are totally different scents. There's just nothing similar. So don't worry about that. If you already have the Dior Sauvage, which started in 2015, this is completely different. You still need to smell this one. Although it is more classic, it is more old school, definitely. I think if you're a collector of any level, you gotta know about this one. Having said all that, it does lean on the mature side. It is not quite as mature and bold as the original 1966 version, but at the same time, it's not what I would call youth-friendly. It's not a youthful fragrance. It is extremely classy, it is extremely gentlemanly. It is just an absolute pleasure to smell this one. It definitely dresses up as opposed to dressing down. Wouldn't want to wear this on a daily basis. I think I would save this for special occasions because it is just so opulent. It does lean a little bit mature, but like I said in the dry down, it has that vanillic sweetness, but at the same time it retains some of that old school sensibility. It just does everything. It combines all the notes so perfectly, and at the very end we get a vanillic, smoky incense. Man, absolute pleasure. I highly recommend this one to any level of collector. I've already kind of alluded to the versatility in this. I think it's more of a special occasion fragrance. Other people's opinions might differ. For me, I'd wear this on special occasions just because it's so special, and honestly, it's a little bit on the pricey side, and I don't want to go through this bottle quickly if I can avoid it. It's a masterpiece fragrance. It is a head turner. People will ask you what you're wearing. It's just so good. Is it the best Dior? I will say this. La Collection Privée by Dior, that line has some really good fragrances, but they're extremely expensive, they're not mass marketed, and they're pretty hard to access for most people, let's say. But those ones in that line, they can compete with some of the best niche fragrances out there. So as far as Dior goes, I'm not going to include the La Collection line, but as far as Dior's more mainstream, mass marketed fragrances, I think this is the best. I don't think any other mainstream Dior comes close to this. And you know, although it is on the pricier side, for a 100 milliliter bottle, you can still have this for about $130 US on FragranceNet. This 50 milliliter bottle cost me around $65 US when I bought it. So you know what, at the end of the day, it's not the most expensive fragrance out there, but it smells like it is. This is luxurious. And the performance is actually solid on this. The longevity on my skin is a solid 8 hours, maybe even pushing 9, and I definitely get a 2-hour arm's length projection on this. The projection is excellent, especially the more you move around, the more you sweat. It's gonna keep coming off of you. People are gonna notice this one. And like I said, the longevity is amazing as well. So you know what? Excellent performance, excellent smell. I think in the designer world, it's very hard to beat a fragrance like this. It has classic sensibilities with a little bit of a modern twist on it. I think it's just a masterpiece, and I'm gonna end the video there, guys. I really hope you get out and sample this one if you can. It's just one of the best I've ever smelled. I'm curious to see if you guys feel the same way. Anyway guys, that's been my review of Eau Sauvage Parfum 2017 by Dior. Thanks for tuning in guys. Until next time, keep it real.